Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the podcast where we talk about triathlon. Talking Triathlon is the podcast. Still don't know what I'm doing when I start it. The levels of anxiety instantly build moments before I hit that record button. James Bale is with me, the sexiest voice in triathlon himself. Jimbo, how you going, mate?
I'm not bad. I'm not bad at all. We're slightly out of sync this week, aren't we? We're at the wrong end of the day because it's late in the UK on a Thursday night, and you find yourself, where are you, mate? Where in the world is Tim Ford?
Tim Ford is in Malibu, California. Uh, it is weird, right? Because we recorded last week, 2 weeks ago, we recorded, I was in Paris. And then last week we recorded and I was in London. And then I said, well, we'll record this one when I'm at home. But I got to Wednesday night, I was too jet lagged. I said, we'll just do it when I'm in America. And here I am in Malibu, mate. It is, I don't even
And
know what time of day.
next week you'll be in Australia and I'll be in France. You know, it
Typical.
just keeps on spinning.
We're a multicultural podcast. We have listeners from around the world, so we just make sure that they always feel represented. So this one's for our American audience. Although I was
How fun is getting into America? Eh?
Actually the worst.
Actually, the worst. It is genuinely the worst, isn't it?
There are many things that I like about the United States of America. Traveling to or from it is not one of them. It is
no.
The TSA stuff, the passport control people,
The power trips. The power trips are on another level.
Mate. Yeah. And again, I don't know. It irritates my Australian sensibilities, I think, a little bit, where it's just like,
it does mine as well.
You're so serious, guys. Like, chill out. Like, it's not, we're not playing for sheep stations, right? Like, it's not the end of the world. But we're not here to bag traveling to and from America because it is a great country, and I'm excited to be here.
I love bagging traveling to and from America, though. I love it. It's one of my favorite things. They take it so seriously.
It's I have
as if we're all trying to stay there for the rest of our lives.
That was the impression that I got a little bit today, because he's like, excuse me, I require proof to actually return to Australia. I was like, here it is, mate. Like, I'm happily going home after. I'm in America. I'm in America. I promise for like you. 3 nights, and I'm like, yep. As soon as those 3 days are up, I'm out of here, straight home. No, it's good. It's good. I think
that's where we should start then, isn't it? I mean, you're in Malibu.
I'm in Malibu.
I think. Why are you in Malibu?
I am in Malibu because I am, this weekend for Superleague Triathlon Malibu, I am the team manager for the Scorpions. You will be seeing me. I don't even know really what I do. I have a rough idea, but I will be the guy helping out the athletes, the men's and women's race, as we try to reclaim the title from last year. I got asked by Macca 2 weeks ago if I'd come over to Malibu and do it, and I instantly said yes. Like, it's 100%. I would love that opportunity. I was sort of helping out in London. I got asked to assist MG, who was the team manager previously, in London a little bit, and then Toulouse. I just didn't want to go to Toulouse. I was in Nice, and then they asked me to come and do it this time, so I did it. MG's injured. He's had a surgery on his knee, so I'm the ring-in, mate. That's funny. Walking into the hotel this morning, you've got, like, there's Christian Blumenfeld, there's Beth Potter, there's Leah Berger, there's Henry Schumann, and everybody's like, it's the manager. The manager's here. Look who it is. It's the manager. And it's like, even Michael Thompson. So people will know Michael Thompson is the official for Super League. He's the guy that always holds up the elimination flag. And he just walks up to me, shakes my hand. He's like, looking forward to your motivational speech tomorrow. I'm like, I didn't know I had to do one.
Yeah, because you've got some big names in this weekend, haven't we? Like, we got, like you say, Johnny Brownlee, Alex Yee, Christian Blumenfeld, Hayden's going to be there, Schumann's going to be there, Vasco Velasa. What's the American chap called? Ben Canute's coming over for this one, isn't he?
Morgan Pearson as well. Again, an athlete that I would actually love to see Morgan Pearson do the entire series. I think, which we're going to talk about, his performance in Pontevedra last weekend shows me I think he's super suited to this really short distance racing. Mate.
Sandra Beaugrand is joining on the women's side.
Yeah, she's on the Scorpions team, so she'll be on my team. We've also got who else did I say they brought in?
Beth Potter, Sophie Caldwell, Taylor Spiley, Katie Zaviras.
Yeah. There's some talent, isn't there?
A load of people. So you're the Scorpions manager.
Yes.
Scorpions currently lying in second place in the team standing.
Correct.
Because what is it? You can't count laps. That was it, wasn't it?
Well, that's actually the first thing that I'm going to bring in as a new team manager. So I'm going to make sure that I count the laps, try to communicate it to the athletes. That might be part of the problem, a little bit, but it's short, ferocious race. I think we've spoken a lot about it, right? Like, it's it's not this isn't like I know a lot of our listeners traditionally do the longer distance stuff where it is a lot more of a measured effort. You hold your numbers, you hold your pace. It's more about not blowing up rather than pushing the limits. This distance racing, we've all done, or me and you have done some of the super short stuff before. It's hideous. Like, you don't have time to.
No,
you're just screaming.
there's
You're
no
just
measuring your
screaming
effort.
on the
There's no
inside.
recovery, is there? If you're taking a moment to try and measure your effort, you've lost instantly.
Yeah. So we'll probably talk about it a little bit. So this race has been under a bit of jeopardy, actually, for the last week or two, where it sounded like it probably wasn't going to happen. I can't remember. Again, I don't remember if we talk about things. We did it at the end of the episode last week where we were talking about the fishies.
Yeah, we briefly mentioned the fishes.
The guppies. And so up until Tuesday, so I left Australia on Thursday morning to fly here. It is, speaking of the travel to America thing, the other issue that I always have as an Australian is I left Sydney at 10 a.m. or 10:30 Thursday morning. I then flew for 15 hours and I landed in Los Angeles at 7 a.m. or 7:30 on Thursday morning. And every time I do it, it breaks my brain a little bit. I'm like, I've gone back in time. Like, I'm an actual time traveler. Just call me Marty McFly. What was I saying? Again, I'm jet lagged. I'm tired.
We were talking about the fish. How have they got over? Because as we left it last time, the local council had said no to the appeal. So how have they got over this? Have they changed the venue slightly? Changed the course? What was the solution, Mr. Man on the ground?
Well, I do have, I guess, a better understanding of what the actual issues are now, because everybody thought we all heard the fish, right? It's all about the fish, and a lot of people were saying, but they don't even swim in the river. The issue was never about the swimming. So there's been floods, and this particular place, apparently it floods fairly regularly.
It was the gantry, wasn't it? They had to put over the top.
Yeah. So sometimes they'll put in a temporary bridge if the floods are still a problem. And because these new fish have come in, they can't cover it. So they weren't allowed to use the temporary bridge. So they needed to submit an alternate course. And what it actually came down to was whether they submitted that in time. According to the legislation, I think they had to give 34 days. They had to submit everything 34 days in advance, and they didn't really, and that's why they got knocked back on the first protest. But in the wording, again, people love this. Like, I love it because I'm a law nerd. But there was like an arbitrary or ambiguous is the better word, mention of a 5-day window as well. And because again, I needed to know if I was coming. I had it on Tuesday when I was at home, because it literally happened on, me went for like 8 hours. They didn't just talk about the Malibu Triathlon, but like 40 people stood up in support of the race, because as much as we're talking about Superleague race this weekend, Malibu Triathlon is one of the biggest triathlons in the world. It's a huge mass participation event. They raise millions of dollars for I think the Children's Hospital here. So there was a huge, a lot of people had a vested interest in if this race was happening or not. And it came down to a vote, basically, and they just said, look, we are trying to find enough ambiguity in the legislation to allow us to approve this, because emotionally, like, we want this to happen. But as, people bound by the constraints of our power vested by the legislation, it's not always whether we want to or not. So it's very interesting. Again, I found it interesting to sort of see the way they try to weasel their way to be able to do it, which they do, which they were always going
just
to.
Fucking get over it, innit? If there's a right decision to be made and a wrong decision, and what's the constraints to say making you make the wrong decision, just fucking get over it and make the right decision.
That's
the way I see it.
How do we want to
be the hero?
The lawyer and me would disagree with that, mate, because we have, the limitations of power, all that.
Set a new precedent.
But that's what they didn't want to do, because but it was fascinating, right? Because I think something happened over the weekend.
What's it fascinating?
Actually, me and Will McCloy were like live chatting during, because we were both watching, going, this is so grim. But a big theme was that there's been all these, because Malibu's like, I think it's a pretty fancy part of LA. Like, a lot of the celebrities live here. And they were saying that, was it one of the Kardashians or something, had a big party and had somehow gotten approval for an event that they shouldn't have. They used this ambiguous thing to basically push through an approval, something called a TUP, I think, whatever. And
it was a good party, that one. I enjoyed it.
Great party, but the locals were outraged, and that's why they were so, because they said we don't want to allow people to just give us a few days' notice. They need to submit this. That's what was fascinating, was to see how they sort of wrangled it. But again, people don't care about that. They want to talk about the triathlon.
I was snorting tequila off Kardashian's fucking coffee table that night, mate. It was a good one. Good
I'm glad
party.
you said tequila. We're here to talk about triathlon, James Bell, because this is a
So,
podcast all about
but let's
triathlon.
go back to the Super League, because obviously we were talking about it being the short, sharp, powerful racing, which, I love and reeks of a young man's game, doesn't it? But what I love most about the Super League at the moment is that Johnny Brownlee's leading the standings on the men's side. He's
Exactly.
he's absolutely killing it for us old blokes. I love it.
Well, if you look at 1 and 2, they're both not the youngest men in the field because you got Henry Schoeman in second place as well. So
Exactly.
two of the most, I think Henry and Johnny have almost, bar injury, participated in from the first Super League. They've always sort of been involved. They've seen a lot of it. So yeah, it is cool though. I'm a huge Johnny Brownlee fan, but this week I cannot be supporting him. I have to be fully Team Scorpion. I'll be
Who's your top Scorpion? I suppose that's Henry, isn't it? Henry on the men's side and Verena Steinhauser on the
in, in
women's.
terms of the rankings.
Yeah, in terms of
I
men's and
believe so.
women's ranking.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's correct.
So
So
Verena is in fourth and
mhm.
Henry is in second. But you are within. Can you win the point, the teams thing? The Sharks are on 230, you're on 165.
Oh, don't you worry, we can.
Is it bridgeable?
I've
I
got
mean,
some.
mathematically, I'm asking,
Yeah,
is it
100%.
bridgeable?
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
okay.
is. Yeah, there's still 2 rounds to go. There's this one and then the grand final and again, I need to. One of the things I've requested is the actual competition rules because I want to understand exactly what I've got in store. But I've got some tricks. I've got some tricks up my sleeve this weekend, man. I think we're going to try some things that maybe they haven't seen before. They're gonna be like, man, Tim Ford changed Super League Triathlon.
Nice. Is it going to involve snorting tequila off a Kardashian's coffee table?
100%. That's actually what we're going to be using. The short breaks between each of the leg. I'm going to get one of those
Nice.
Kardashian tables in, and it's just going to be like, do it, guys, do it,
One of those
do it.
tables.
Yeah, exactly.
The
No,
tequila
actually,
tables.
to be honest, my plan is actually just to corrupt all the athletes on the other teams over the next few days. Just be like, come on, Christian,
Let's go out on the
mate,
piss.
let's go have a beer.
Yeah.
I'll take you guys out to LA. Let's go to one of the clubs. I'll buy the
Get
champagne.
shit
I'll
faced.
do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Hayden, no, Hayden, you stay home. You stay home. You're on the Scorpions team. Leo
You can
Berger,
spend
come on, mate. Come on.
that luscious managerial fee you're probably getting paid on getting the other team's shit faced night before the race.
Exactly that six-figure fee that I got to be the team manager. I'm going to put straight on the bar at one of the beach clubs or something in Malibu, and yeah, everybody like, hang on, no other team has shown up. Like, what's going on? We've got the full Scorpions team, and everybody else has gone MIA, and they're ended up in Tijuana in Mexico or something because I hired a bus and put them all on it and sent them south of the border.
You sober up on a roundabout somewhere in a different state, wondering what the fuck happened.
I need to do the plug though, because I was going to do it, but this is Talking Triathlon. If you enjoy the podcast, you'd like to support the podcast, head to patreon.com/Talking Triathlon. We've had another number of patrons sign up this month, which I love to see. As we say, the money that we make goes straight back into the show. Video editors does the reels, edits this on YouTube, stuff like that. Let's talk about Super League Triathlon Malibu, mate, because it is this weekend. There's a lot to unpack. We've seen this race is the third year I think they've done this Malibu race. Traditionally, It's been my least favorite of the courses on the Super League schedule.
Yeah, I mean, I don't suppose you can be objective anymore, can you? You've got to be. People are going to be saying you're biased and that you don't have an objective view anymore.
They often say that about me anyway, even though I strive to be objective. But I'll say that I haven't officially signed on its team manager duties. I'm not wearing the team gear yet. I'll go pick that up this afternoon. But no, I'm happy to be as objective as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I'll jump in on that then. Like you, it has always been my least favorite of the venues. I mean, if I'm honest, the racing is the racing. It generates excitement on its own. It stands on its own as, you can watch a Super League race anywhere, I think. And that brings a certain level of enjoyment. So it's never bad. But this Malibu has always been, while they've been there, the least favorite of the venues for me. Because it just feels like a really big open space.
It's like
Do you remember that PTO race a while ago? I don't remember which one it was.
Dallas?
Dallas, where they had the boarding, and it feels a bit like that. It feels too big a space. Like the athletes are kind of lost in it. You don't feel like it's very intimate from a broadcast perspective, and that's what's grated on me about it a little bit.
I think we're going to see it even more this year because there's no Munich. It's only 4 races, but I think the London course is spectacular. and you probably don't realize it on the broadcast as much, but when you're there, those like it's a proper cobble. Like those cobbles are brutal. The
Yeah, yeah.
Toulouse is, I think, the best. I I think it's the best short course in the world at the moment on the circuit. At least again, I don't know every World Cup venue, but from a WTCS Super League point of view, I think it is absolute pinnacle. It's an exceptional course. And then you come to this, and it is literally a big car park. It's a big car park. The road services are crap. Like, there's parts of it I love that it's a beach swim. I love that we have a like, again, as an Australian, I love surf swims, and it's a different sort of athlete. That's definitely something that I'll be talking with my guys about over the next couple of days, about how to attack the swim and some strategies around that. But then
I'm the same. I do like the beach entry a lot.
yeah, but then it just is like, you're right. It's a very long, like, it's lots of long straights or almost forced technicality. Like, you look at London, you look at Toulouse, you're turning because the streets are turning, there's corners, whereas this, it's like witches' hats or the barricades. And we've seen, it's probably the course that you're going to see the highest speed. So that's not a negative. We saw those crashes last year, specifically, or particularly Maddie Hauser and Georgia Taylor Brown, who both crashed spectacularly in the same corner. But there's another element that I think people don't always appreciate, is the wind, because it's coastal. So you're going to have that ocean wind and sand on the course, because sand from the beach will blow up and get on the course. And I know that's another thing that I've only been here for a couple of hours, and that they're already talking about sand on the course. So there's challenges to it that are different to others, but visually it is not particularly the most exciting course.
No, like you say, it's those sort of generated technical bits, isn't it? It's like the difference between watching Monaco and Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Yeah, 100%.
The Monaco brings a certain personality to the race, irrespective of how good that racing actually is at that track, compared to watching something like Abu Dhabi, which has got huge runoffs and they've just made a course in the middle of somewhere, and no matter what happens, you don't fly into a wall. But the racing will stand on its own, because they will have created a course that will generate interesting and exciting racing. I would like to see Jonathan Brownlee keep doing well, if I'm honest. I want to see him heading out in front. And on the women's side, we've got 3 Brits occupying the top 3 slots at the moment, which is just, standard issue. That's how it goes, really, isn't it, on the women's side of the sport, as things
pretty much
stand?
Actually, to be honest, I'm going to go out on a limb and say I don't think we're going to see a British person win the race this weekend. I don't think that's going to happen.
There are 5 Brits in the top 10 at the moment.
I know, but there's some changes that have happened. And don't forget, we are sort of talking about this out of order, because I think we should have talked about Pontevedra first, because a lot of what I want to talk about around this race is in relation to what happened in Pontevedra, but we'll make it work. I think that race last week showed me a lot. I've paid a lot of attention to what happened in Pontevedra last weekend, and how that's going to impact, I think, some athletes' performances here, both positively and negatively. And particularly, I think it's going to be a lot of the Brits, because I think we saw a lot of the Brits have either exceptional or really substandard performances last weekend at the grand final. And I'm very curious to see, are some people going to be, a bit shit because they've had like Beth Potter, won the world title. We're going to talk about her race later, but has she sort of had that huge high and she's on a bit of a low, or, what's the motivation like? Or a Alexia or Johnny Brownlee, terrible races. Is something wrong? Are they fatigued? Are they a bit sick? Have they got a bit of a niggle? Or are they coming here super motivated to fucking prove a point after a shit race last weekend? Like, there's these dynamics that I'm really fascinated to see. And I suspect that I feel like we're not going to see a Brit on either the men's or women's podium not on the podium, on top of the podium this week. I think we're going to see different nationalities winning the races.
Yeah, I mean, you could well be right. The dynamics from Pontevedra certainly might play into this. If I was an Alex Lee, I would be absolutely chomping at the bit to try and come here and have a damn good weekend. I wouldn't want my year to finish and sort of fade away now after what happened. Like you say, we'll talk about Pontevedra in a bit, but I don't know. There's an element of me that I want to see Johnny Brownlee continue to lead the standings, which, if he finishes fairly well, he should do. I'd like to see Henry do well. I do. Same. I enjoy seeing Henry do well. Having had a bit of time off like he did with the injury and coming back from that and knowing him as we do, it's It's always pleasing when he has a good race. On the women's side, I think we'll see a Brit on that podium, mate. I really do.
I definitely think the
Top
podium.
of.
Yeah, okay. I think we'll see a French person on top. To be honest, one in particular, is my expectation.
Are you calling Cassandra Beaugrand as
Yeah,
the
I'm
winner on the women's
I'm
side?
going to pick Cassandra. I mean, I honestly, I've said it 100 times. I think she's so talented, and I really feel like when she's on, she's on. Second last weekend, this is her first appearance at Super League. I think this short distance really suits her. She's so strong on the swim. She's so strong on the run, and it's not a super technical bike, which we know if she has a weakness, it's probably that technicality on the bike. And I expect that therefore she should be able to, you know, get away with a group at the front. That's the other thing with this course, right? I think because of the way it is set up, it isn't as easy to bridge up if you're in a big group because there's a lot of those, a lot of those corners are narrow. So if you're in a bigger group, you lose a lot of pace. So if you're, one of the first few out of the water, say there's a breakaway of 3 or 4 athletes and they push the pace, I think we're going to see the race really sort of spread out. And I'd expect to see Cassandra, you know, do that. And then the run she has, she's one of the best runners. So I'm straight away happy to say it. I think that she's my prediction this weekend to win it.
There you go. I mean, and the team dynamic plays into it quite nicely, doesn't it?
Mm.
I enjoy the fact that you've got a sort of managerial element now and people that are giving strategies to the athletes to try and work together to try and look at how you can best help each other. I mean, is that how you're going to approach it?
100%. I've already sort of said, I sat down with Henry this morning and I said, that's the thing I really want to emphasize here is that it's a team. And I think that you watch Super League a lot of the time and yeah, we know there's teams, right? But it is an individual sport. And I really feel like an opportunity that hasn't really been capitalized on yet in this form of racing is to consider a bit more of that team element, looking at the ways that different athletes' strengths can complement others, understanding that this is actually, there's one race that really matters, but there's still points on the line for the different disciplines. So the team thing is something that I'm very interested to discuss, I guess, with the team. And I mean, it's all good and well to go in there and say, I want you guys to race as a team. And they go, like, I think it's different, right? So it's a conversation I'm very interested to have because I mean, I've said it a lot. We've had this conversation. I really feel like team-based triathlon is something that I love. Like the sub-7, sub-8 thing was fantastic. I still think sub-7, sub-8 is the purest form of it we've really seen. And I loved that element where it was a crew working together. Not one, even mixed team relay is fantastic, but it's still one athlete, then another athlete, then another athlete. Like there's not that, like we're actually probably more, you're probably used to it as, the second biggest cycling fan in the world. It is a bit more of that cycling approach to the racing.
Do you think that racing as a team and doing well for the team outweighs the benefits of racing for yourself and doing well as an individual in this instance?
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
if not, then we're gonna have to get back to how it used to be in the cycling days, and that person that wins the race and benefits most, but gets the team, but then team members work to help that happen is going to have to get their wallet out and start saying, all right, there's going to be a Brucey in it for you guys.
Well, I think the good thing with this is that there's actually team prize money, right? So that,
There is. That's what I'm asking. I mean, if I'm an athlete who's racing for, maybe I'll get a third place if I'm lucky, and that to me is a little paycheck because I haven't often had a third place.
Yep.
But you as a team manager are saying, no, I need you to sacrifice yourself to help this guy win.
I probably wouldn't pick the
How
third.
much? What's the balance between how much you're going to get from the tease prize pot and perhaps finishing in that third place?
It's a really valid point, actually. One to which I don't have the answer. But I would probably counter that and say if you're a podium contender, I probably wouldn't be saying sacrifice. Look,
No,
I'm not.
I mean that was an
no, but
extreme
I
example.
mean, again, I don't want to necessarily give it all away because this does come out before the
Give it
race.
all away, mate.
I feel like
that's what we're here for.
well, there, as I've sort of said, it's 3 races, right? And I don't think you could do things in those first 2 races and still commit to the third. I feel like, yeah, there's just like we always see the athletes sort of tend to race this format the same, right? They sort of sandbag the first 2, the second one gets a little bit faster, and then they all go for a third. And I'm maybe suggesting we try something a bit different, but
yeah.
but
Hopefully, no crashes, no accidents this time, eh?
100%, that's the main thing.
Well,
I've sort of spoken about the women's race. The men's race, there's a few people that I think we could see on that podium. Besides, and again, Johnny Brownlee could definitely be on. He was so off Like, not that he was that off, but like I didn't expect to see him fade the way that he did in the run last weekend, considering what he's been doing at Super League. So I wonder if there is just, again, he's a Brownlee, so they always are just a little bit fragile. But again, we've got Hayden, we've got Hauser. I'm curious to see how Hauser goes, because this guy is so good and just things keep coming up. And we know that he, is he going to have a little bit of hesitation on that corner this year after what happened last year? I mean, even Hayden, right? Hayden's on my team, but he has just had so many fucking things go wrong lately. If it isn't, a missing a lap count or dropping your swim cap, I'm concerned watching what's happening with Hayden lately that we might see him end up as the bridesmaid. And I don't want to see him as the bridesmaid.
Yeah, dropping that swim cap. I mean, we'll get to that in a different race, but he does seem to be having a litany of unforced errors.
Yeah,
which might lead to a
this is the second
psychological analysis. Where
it's
you're
the
like,
second
mate,
year in a row, mate. He should have won the world title. Like the last, I thought this year, considering we saw that Alex was sort of a bit, I've said it 100 times. I think Alexey still has Hayden Wild's number. I think that when Alexey's firing, Hayden will struggle to beat him. But this year, when Alex sort of wasn't even really up there in terms of he was, but not, the way
this was his moment.
Yeah. And, I mean, yeah, I just I get concerned because, again, I have so much love for Hayden Wild. And I just want to see him. It's a bit like Lucy Charles, right? Like watching Lucy Charles win that 70.3 world title was that 2021 in St. George? Was it 20? Yeah. Mate, was just like, thank fuck. Like, thank fuck. Because she's such a good athlete and she's been second so many times. And then you're sort of expecting her to go from that to and then she's back to getting seconds again. And you're just like, yeah. So Hayden,
well,
come on, mate.
It would be good after what happened in Pontevedra to see both Hayden and Alex bounce into Super League and have a really strong race. Obviously, Hayden's on your team, so we hope he has a stronger race. Vasco Velasa there, that'd be interesting. It'd be really interesting to see what he can bring to the party, I think.
It's his one and only appearance too. He's only doing this race. So he's going to come with with fire in the belly. He is another athlete who is crept up, which he shouldn't have, because it was 2020, the one race grand final where Vince won it and Vasco was second or third. And he's just gone from strength to strength since then. And again, I think that this sort of racing really suits him. He's an aggressive racer. And the other one that
didn't he get attacked by a seal last year?
He did. That's exactly. I think that's the specific reason they invited him for this one. Is it like being putting chum out in the water, hoping to attract either seals or shark? they want another incident. I think they're gonna. I guarantee that when he goes to the swim practice tomorrow, there's going to be camera crews following him aggressively. Will McCloy will be out there dressed in a seal costume if he needs to be, to just try.
I remember watching, and he said the seal was coming up to him a bit playfully, and then a wave hit him, and he got knocked into the seal, and the seal got scared and bit him on the hand and clamped on, and he had to sort of like
swim in with it. Yeah,
swim in with it and extricate the seal.
Nuts.
Poor chap.
Poor chap. I guess
poor seal.
Again, it'd be like I've swum in the ocean where dolphins have swum around me, and there's that initial moment of like, oh my god, big monster in the water I'm gonna get is a shark. So imagine
dolphins don't have teeth though, do they?
No, I'm not. Once you know it's a dolphin, you know you're safe. But it's probably like you start swimming, you see this thing, you're like, is it a shark? Then it's like, oh no, it's a seal. Oh, it's being playful. Fighting me like it would have been this roller coaster of like I'm not good. Like I think it's so funny. So yeah, I reckon the only reason they brought Vasco in this weekend is to see if the seal wants round two. I think I even saw something on social media. Maybe Will McCloy shared it. It was like, yeah, the rematch, Seal versus Vasco Velasquez. But the other one that I wanted to mention is Morgan Pearson, because I think Morgan Pearson is a. I mean, I said it in our Talking Triathlon WhatsApp group over the weekend. I'm picking him as a dark horse medal for Paris next year. I think that he's always on the precipice of that unbelievable performance, and I think that when he gets it right, we're going to see something like crazy next level good, which I'm excited to see. And
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I think the thing with a flyaway race like Malibu as well is you've got to take into account the travel that everyone's done, because it's quite a short, everyone's traveled in and then they're racing quite quickly. Yeah, exactly. Even from a managerial standpoint, but it's going to be, I think you wouldn't be surprising to see some difference in the results. Some people handle travel better than others. Some people are
Yeah.
more used to it. Some people adapt quicker. And there'll be people that will know this course a little bit better because they've raced it before.
The other, back to the women's, the other one is worth mentioning is Taylor Spivey. We know this is a home race for Taylor. I have a feeling that she either is a bit injured. So I've actually heard she might not even be racing. I hope she's not injured, but I feel like she was way off the pace. Not way off. She was okay, but I think she said it was the first full weight run since something. So yeah, there's something going on there, but that's another one just to watch
So
out.
on the women's side, I'm gonna call Sophie Coldwell for the win.
It's a good shout, actually. Excellent swimmer.
Yeah,
She's such a strong athlete. Sophie.
really strong swimmer. She'll be able to take advantage of that sea swim, and I
Do you think
think,
so? What are you?
yeah,
Are
I
you
think so.
Brits okay? You don't struggle a little bit in the?
No, we can do it, mate. We can do it. We have a coast. We have lots of
Oh
coast. We're an
no, I
island.
know. Joe Skipper took me to the coast, and it was quite depressing, if I'm honest. But it was definitely a coast. I don't know if any people use the coast.
You went up to the Norwich coast, did you?
Yeah, what was it called?
Good Lord.
Where did he take Cromer? He took me to Cromer.
Okay.
Yeah, so I saw
So
Cromer.
I think Sophie Coldwell will have a good race because of the strength of her swim,
It's a good shout.
and she's a hell of an athlete. On the men's side, I'm just going to say Johnny Brownlee's going to win it. I want to see it. I want
I
to
would
see
like
it.
to see it. I don't agree with you, but I mean, Henry Schoeman, I think, has a lot of opportunity at this race. He is second in the standings.
I'd love to see him win. You
Yeah.
know, I really would. It would be cool.
Henry's. I'm actually. It's funny. I'm very firm on who I think is going to win the women's race. I mean, the easy option is Hayden. I just don't know. Again, I really think with the men's, there's too many question marks. I mean, I could literally pick Henry, Hayden, Vasco, Hauser, Christian. We haven't even mentioned Christian.
Yeah.
Like
Christian won't be there for the win. Hauser though,
yeah,
Hauser's got a good shot.
I'll go Hauser. I'll go Hauser just because it's the Australian in me.
I
Again,
love Hauser. He's
I love
such a
Hauser
good bloke.
too. See him
He's such a
strutting
good
around
bloke.
today with his long, luscious golden locks, just
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
like the stud that he is. It's like
Looking like the Andrex puppy that's grown up. You obviously got inside knowledge. I want to
yep.
know how, because I've never liked the team names ever.
Mhm.
I think they're wank. How come we got the Sharks animal, Scorpions animal,
Mhm.
Eagles animal, Warriors. Where have the Warriors come from?
So my understanding is that I don't know how much I am allowed to say about this. They're trying to. I mean, you've noticed? So this year the Sharks are an all English team, the Warriors are an all American team, and then the
Yeah,
others are.
yeah, and they're all sponsored by whatever corporation or entity is sponsoring them. So you got like Bahrain Scorpions, you
Yeah,
got the Santara Tech
ITS. Yeah, Eagles.
Eagles. Yeah,
I believe what it is that like they're trying to appeal to that American audience, and the Warriors is a bit more like an NFL team, I think.
yeah,
Again, I would have thought maybe that you make the American team the Eagles, maybe,
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
I don't know, and then you call I don't know what would you call the instead of the British team being the Sharks, you call them I don't know like the Whingers or the
The
Sooks or
foxes. We have foxes over here.
the Hounds,
You
the
call them
Hounds,
the RTP Global
or
Foxes.
the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs would have worked actually.
Yeah, British Bulldogs would have done
Yeah,
it, or
British
the Field
Bulldogs.
Mice.
Yeah. I mean, Scorpion kind of plays for Bahrain. It's desert, and then what was the other one? Then
What
this
else have we got? We got lots of different birds. We've got loads of birds.
Do you?
You know, could be the blue tits or the robins, the greater
let's not
crested newts.
we don't need to go down this rabbit hole. I did find something funny. This God, the childish humor of, or how easy it is to amuse me. That I was on the underground the other day and one of the stations was called Cockfosters, and it made me
Yeah,
giggle. You Brits do names so well. But that is it.
oh
Super
yeah.
League is happening this weekend. Tune in. You might see yours truly somewhere at some point. Who
Are
knows?
you going to be as shouty as MG normally is on the? Are
I've
you going
been
to be
told
because?
I've been told that I get very Australian when I cheer. So the intention will be not to be. I will try to be present. But if things get a little bit tense, who knows? Really Aussie Tim might pop out. So,
Really Aussie Tim.
yeah.
There you go. Sounds like a really shit sitcom.
It is. It definitely is. And it's funny because as I start screaming, the back of my hair grows longer. My shirt turns into a singlet. My
Yeah,
shorts
yeah.
get shorter. My thongs appear.
Living in a trailer
A
somewhere.
beer appears in my hand in a stubby holder. and an esky that I sit on appears next to me. It's a bizarre transformation, but it is, the shittest superhero in the weirdly Aussie Tim. Let's talk about Pontevedra because we sort of skirted around it, but we had the WTCS Grand Final happen in Pontevedra last weekend where we crowned 2 new world champions.
Should we do the women's first?
Let's do the women's first.
So on the women's side, Beth Potter won the race in 1:53.19. And therefore, she also won the championship. And she won the championship ahead of Cassandra Beaugrand. Beth Potter on 4,559 points, with Cassandra on 4,411 points. In the race, Beth Potter headed out Kate Wurr and Cassandra Beaugrand. Kate Woff. I always do that because Kate Woff and Cassandra Beaugrand on the podium. So Cassandra was, she was strong. She just wasn't strong enough to take the victory.
Now, I'm going to be transparent here. I have not watched the women's race. I only watched the men's race because there was a reason. I haven't watched it yet. It was on my to-do list this week, and I haven't had a chance because of jet lag and travel. But if you had told me at the start of this year that Beth Potter would have won the WTCS world title, I wouldn't have believed you. Not because I don't think Beth Potter is an amazing athlete. I just feel like I still thought she had more growth, I suppose, to get to that point. However, having seen what she's done this year,
time has passed though, hasn't it? Because
100%.
Time's a strange thing. Because I would think similarly to you, but if I think about the amount of time that has passed since when she started competing, when she kind of burst onto the scene at that Superleague Arena Games, that was years ago now.
No, I'm not. I'm probably even looking at last year, right? Where last year she was really starting to, she was getting good. Not that she wasn't good, but she was starting at those breakthrough performances. Whereas this year, it's just kind of been like bang, 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 bang. Like it's been what was it last year? She won the Arena Games, the Arena title, and then this year it's just been pretty consistent. And again, looking at her, because again I was going through the results and stuff today. What a well-rounded performance by Beth. Like she's basically front pack or just behind swimmer. Then she rides with the group and then drops these incredible runs. Like she has turned into a true triathlete, not a runner who sort of learned. She's the package deal, mate. She's a complete athlete.
Yeah, she really is. She's like I was saying before, when she sort of burst onto the scene, she was a very strong runner, and that was almost the entirety of the focus was the emphasis on how quick her run was and how her run was pretty much professional runner standard.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean, because that's the world she'd come from. But now she's sculpted herself into a very solid all-round triathlete. And when I say very solid, I mean current world champion.
Yeah.
Which, about as solid as you can get. And it's fantastic to see because she's a lovely person and she's put the graft in and she's come over to triathlon. She's put the graft in, she's gone to work and she's seen the results. And like you say, that performance in Pontevedra was incredibly well-rounded. It wasn't relying on a certain strength or trying to negate a certain weakness. It was a very balanced performance with a hell of a run at the end to seal the victory.
The thing that upsets me a lot about this race over the weekend, because one thing particularly upset me was the fact that it looks like Britain has got even more fucking red hot talent coming through, because Kate Woff, under 23 world champion last year, second place, is on the up. She won the Toulouse race, Super League. Maybe the motorbikes helped a little bit, but this second place for Kate Woff is another statement that she is the next big thing, I think, in women's short course triathlon, and it pisses me off that she has to be British. Why couldn't she be Australian?
Yeah, I mean there are 4 Brits in the top 10, with Beth Potter, Kate Woff, Sophie Caldwell, and Lisa Tescht. Not in that order because Lisa came 4th and Sophie came 7th. But 4 Brit. We've got strength and depth on the women's side of the sport.
Georgia Taylor Brown wasn't there either.
No, indeed. And so it could have been 5 Brits in the top 10, which is 50% of the top 10. Astounding.
But legitimately, I think Kate Woff has made a real statement the last couple of weeks.
And then if is Learmonth coming back? I'm sure she is.
Congratulations, Jess Learmonth just gave birth to her first child.
Yeah. Congratulations, Jeff. But is she coming back? She's going to come back, isn't she? Because throw her in the mix. You could have 6 Brits in the top 10.
Surely not.
You never know.
It is interesting actually, because I saw that it's worth probably bringing in that. Oh my! I'm having a oh my, I know you. You're bronze
I'm
medalist in
James.
Rio.
I'm your co-host.
Why the she bronze medal? She was at sub 7. She was commentator. She's done some of the. Oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Bronze medal in Rio, mate.
On
Brit,
the women's side,
yes.
um,
She's won a world title. I can see her. I know her. I know
Vicky
her.
Holland.
Vicky Holland. Thank you.
There you go.
I kept
Fucking
thinking
hell.
Helen Jenkins. I'm like, it's not fucking Helen
My
Jenkins.
brain was going Georgia Taylor Brown, Georgia Taylor Brown, Georgia. I was like, no, you're wrong, brain. Go away.
But Vicky Holland is making her return, and it's interesting you talking about Jess Limont because we've seen a number of short course females have a child, and then like I would have expected them to transition back to long distance racing. Katie Zafiris, Gwen Jorgensen, probably Vicky Holland if I'm honest, but they're not. They're coming to short course. So you saying that Jess Limont will, because at first I was like, no, she'll go middle, but it's like evidence would suggest that actually
Yeah.
she probably
I
will come
wouldn't
back
be
to short
surprised
distance.
if we saw her back at short course to I mean, I don't know what it's like to have a baby, but maybe just to come back and get some speed back in the legs after a long period of absence.
Mm.
You never know. You never know.
Again, Jess, so good. Like the first year that Georgia won the Super League, she didn't win a race or something, and Jess won a whole bunch, but then through points, Georgia actually won the series. That
Yeah, that was
was
it.
that was it. Yeah. So the women's racing, I genuinely am a bit frustrated that you've got another just such bright star of the future coming out of the UK.
Yeah, and
Pisses me
existing
off.
star as well, Beth Potter. I mean, full congratulations to Beth. Don't know whether she listens or not, but brilliant to see. Love that.
Again, going to be, I think her run. If you look at, as you sort of said, the last few years, talk about coming towards a peak at the right time. Like we've got Paris next year. It's going to be interesting. So, and again, I put her up as an abs. I mean, wow, shocking! The current world champion is a medal contender. She's definitely on my short list at the moment. So, look, mate,
Brave
these
choices
are the
there,
sort of
Tim.
brave choices people listen to
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
triathlon for. Man, I've really gone out on a limb there. The
It's going
men's
to be
race,
exciting.
the men's race in
Men's race.
I did
Now, the
watch this.
men's race. Unexpected happenings in the men's race, eh? I did
Absolutely.
not see this coming. I mean, we went into this race with Alex Yee looking for that world title, Hayden Wild in with a shot. But once again, we have got a not a random Frenchman, but
Not the
we've
French
got
person I expected. Let's put it that way.
now we've got a randomly generated French person who's taken the title. Dorian Connex won the race in 1:42.22 with Tim Hellwig in second and Pierre Lecourt in third. So it was France, Germany, France on the podium.
And France again.
And that meant that Dorian Connex from France won the world title with 4,238 points, ahead of Hayden Wild with 4,061, ahead of Leah Bergère with 4,003, Vasco Valasa with 3,703, and Alex Yee scraped into the top 5 with 3,629. This is not what we were expecting coming into this race, was it?
Yeah, and I know the reason why, to be honest. Like I can very quickly pinpoint what happened with this race and why it went the way it is. Are you ready for me to hit you with some real triathlon wisdom?
Brilliant. Go on.
The lead pack came out of the water with a gap and committed to fucking keeping Hayden Wild and Alex Yee away. The thing that we have been talking about wanting to see for so like it happened, mate. We saw the group put time into them, and you saw Hayden trying to bridge up and trying to close the gap, and then he was losing time, and Alex Yee was spat out the back spectacularly. And when they come in with that bigger gap, it doesn't matter how good they are or if they do or don't have penalties. Hayden Wild wouldn't have caught the lead. And this
Do you
is
think
what
they'll learn from this, though? Do you think this is something that will carry forward? Because we have been screaming about this, haven't we?
Yep.
At each other, mostly, or in our own little echo chambers.
Yeah.
That for God's sake, you can't win a race if you're not trying to win it. If you can't win a race if your whole ambition is to not lose it, if you know what I mean. If you're going in with this whole like, oh, I'm kind of racing for second because if I put effort in, someone else will win it. If once they actually put that pressure on and they created that word, they didn't create that gap. The swim created that gap, but they maintained and grew that gap by putting that pressure on the bike, working as a unit. Then that's when things start to happen because you're never going to win if you don't roll the dice.
Look,
so, do you think they'll learn from this, mate?
I don't think it's that they're not trying, right? Like I feel like that they're
Definitely
probably
not trying.
it's more, I think, of that it's that we've seen the groups be so big, or I don't know, it's just like no communication, or there's not that person
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
taking
yeah.
charge, rather than, because the guys
Oh,
are
totally.
fucking,
It's not a lack. It's not a lack of
yeah,
trying. It's like in cycling when a group is that big, it's very hard to discipline it. It's very
yeah,
hard to get
exactly.
it working in an aerodynamic fashion on that team time trial way. Your optimum is about five to eight riders, really,
Yeah,
because then
that's
you can get a
which is
real
what we had, right?
discipline unit coming in. But if you've got a big group, which is basically most of the peloton, you ain't going to get any discipline. You're going to get one person sitting on the front. So yeah, as soon as you get into a position where you can actually work as a team, then it becomes easier.
I think that I 100% hope that they'll learn this lesson, because looking at that Paris course, that's how you're going to win the race. Because if you give Hayden or Alex a sniff, if they come off the bike with 5 second, 10 second, anything probably less than 20 seconds, to me, it's game over. It's Alex's gold medal, Hayden Wild's silver medal, maybe a Morgan Pearson bronze. If that lead group actually goes, no, we can't let that happen. We need to fucking drive the swim and then push the bike. That's how the race will be decided, as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, mate, I really hope that it's like, yes, see, this is it. So there will be people who, because I know there's some of these guys listening, and they'll be going, yes, we fucking know, yes, yeah. But 100%, that's what happened this weekend. Hayden
These
Wild,
things ebb and flow, don't they?
and it's
They
interesting.
ebb and they flow.
Absolutely, the dynamic, right, where you suddenly have the real the swim bike sort of, prevalence. We've been through a period lately of the bike run, I think, or more
Yeah,
specifically the
very
run.
much the bike run. We've been through this period where it's been groups and bike run. And now I think as a response to that, as a response to what happened at the last Olympics, which wasn't that long ago, with it coming down to a foot race with Blumenfeld hanging on, I think as a response to that, you're going to see an emphasis now on that swim bike. And this is the way the sport ebbs and flows,
Yeah,
because once we go into this Olympics, if someone wins off a very strong swim, a punishing bike, and hanging on to that lead during the run while they're being chased by those strong bikers and then strong runners, then we'll see in the next cycle we'll see a response to that again,
yeah,
and it'll ebb in a different way. And
yeah.
it's really exciting to see the evolution of not only the sport but the dynamics within the racing dynamics within it.
Even like I had some brief chats with Chris about the race in over the weekend. We're talking about Christian, right? Because I was sort of saying, Christian's really been like, how much did that crazy weekend cost him? Because he's definitely been off the mark since then. And Chris is like, he doesn't have Gustav to pull him up. And even if Gustav was in the field, Gustav isn't the athlete that he was in 2019, 2020, 2021, more specifically, who would pull Christian up. Like, Gustav is so far back now that he's incapable. And it is right. Like, and it is that reaction. We've seen people go, yeah, okay, this ain't working anymore. We need to, and it's finally starting to pay off. So I love it. I love to see it, because I think that it just makes the race so much more entertaining when you've got this group. Like watching Hayden try to run down, and I mean, even if he didn't get the 15-second penalty, he wouldn't have caught them. The gap was too big. But the story of the race, where you see him running down, like you sort of said when we were talking about the Nice race. For me, watching it, thinking that Patrick might catch Sam, makes it really exciting. And
Yeah.
that's what I think we want to see. Because again, what's been happening lately is it's a huge peloton. They get off, and two guys, or an Alex runs off the front. Game over. It's boring.
Or
It's
it's just a foot race, and it's a foot race from the same point.
yeah,
They come into T2 together. They all get off their bikes together, and then you're just seeing a run race, and it makes the triathlon element almost irrelevant.
yeah,
What I like to see when I'm watching the sport as a viewer is to see the equation. One athlete's doing that equation in this way, one athlete's doing the equation in that way, and which one is going to come out with a victory in the end?
yeah.
Who's going to chase who down or not get chased down? Or who's going to have so much of a lead they can't get caught? It's all that. That's what I love.
And you really are seeing that. Like there is a lot of swim power at the moment in the sport. Like there's not one or two, right? There's like, it's not just a couple of swimmers. Like there are so many front pack swimmers now. And I mean, looking at last year, right? I still think that the best example we saw of how much a really strong swimmer can make in a race was that Leeds race where Lucy Charles came and did it. And was that last
Yeah.
year? Was that last year? The year before? It was last year.
Can't remember, but yeah,
I think it was early
I
last
think
year.
it was.
And
Yeah.
where Lucy pushed the pace, and then you saw that group of, it was Maya, it was Sophie, and it was someone else. Oh my god! Again,
It was the
it was
year
Jess.
before
It was
last.
Jess Lemont, I think, wasn't it? I think it was
Yeah, it
those
was.
three.
Yes, yeah, it was the
Yeah,
year before last.
yeah. And then we saw them because of that swim power, that the fact that Lucy B and there really forced the group ahead. The Flora Duffy couldn't bridge up and then couldn't run down the gap, and that's why we saw Maya win that race.
Yeah,
It shows, and yeah, I loved it.
yeah, that was 2021.
I really enjoyed watching the men's race. I was like I said, it was weird to see what happened with Alex Yee. He was because he got out of the water ahead of Hayden, and then you'd assume Hayden pushes, Alex goes with him, and next minute he was like a minute and a half. Like the gap blew out so quickly to Alex Yee. I still not sure what happened there, and
I
even
mean, he
Hayden.
may have just have an off day. He
Yeah,
may have had an off day. He may have had a slight illness. He may have had a slight injury. Who knows?
shout
But
out to
this is the sort of thing we've been saying they need to do to Alex
definitely.
Yee
Yeah,
for fucking ages.
I know.
Make him suffer on it. He might not have had an off day. It might have just been the result of make him suffer like fuck on the swim, make him suffer like fuck on the bike. Boom, he
Well,
explodes.
I do think that we're seeing Alex, like he's definitely up his bike. I know we've got a bit of heat for saying he's a shit cyclist. He's definitely a stronger cyclist. But I also think we are seeing that he isn't running as well off those super hard bikes. Like he's still good, but he's not running the Paris run, right? 29 flat wasn't a hard bike. It was a pack ride, and he just went off the front like he rested. Yeah, but when there is that sort of chase, I mean, you saw him on the front of that group a lot. Yeah, doesn't have the legs. Shout out to Max Stapley, by the way, who dropped back to that group to try to help Alex out. Again, we talked about the team element. I appreciated seeing that. But yeah, Hayden's swim cap thing, unforced error. Don't think it would.
Yeah,
15 seconds seems a bit harsh. Probably it's the
these
only
things
comment.
happen, don't they?
To Hayden a lot,
I
though.
did feel it was a bit harsh. It was like who was it at the Super League race in London? Who's
Jeanne
cat?
Lahair.
Yeah, and her helmet wasn't quite done up, so she stopped and then did it up. And I felt that penalty was a bit harsh as well. But this is, you've got to apply the rules as they are. But I felt that was a bit like, oof.
Did
That's
you
a bit
hear they
much.
said that if it had have fallen in the water, it wouldn't have been a penalty? Isn't that bizarre?
What, the swim cap?
Yeah, so because it landed on the pontoon, it was a
Yeah,
15-second penalty. But if it had have fallen and then ended up in the water, it wouldn't have been because athletes lose their swim caps in the swim. It's not a littering penalty or a left equipment penalty. How weird is
that's
that?
bizarre. Yeah,
What a very weird rule. But yeah, they confirmed it on the broadcast and said that if his swim cap had have fallen in the water, what I would have been curious is what if he kicked it? What if he kicked it in the water? Would that then have been intentional?
what
Like
if he kicked it in the water and it was eaten by a seal?
and that seal then
What then?
swam all the way to Malibu to get vengeance. This time not on Vasco Velasa, but
Turns up in Malibu with Hayden's swim cap on.
sticking out of its teeth. Got the taste of Hayden flesh and wants a little bit more.
Loves that multi-sport flavor.
Well, look, we have dealt with short course a lot, and I know that isn't always people's favorite. So we will finish this week's episode talking about long distance because the start list for Nice is out. The women's race, sorry, Nice, Kona. The women's start list is out, and my God, if it is not the most stacked start list we've seen this year in either men's or women's racing, I will argue that it is because just looking at that start is unbelievable. What do you think of it?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's exciting. I think this women's race is going to be absolutely astounding.
Mm,
I think we will see racing, you
yeah.
know. I know that the men's race, it was a race, so it was racing technically, but I think in this women's race, we are going to see pure racing going on. And I can't wait to see it. I got tipped off a couple of weeks ago that Taylor Knibb was going to be on the start list, and I'm excited to see that tip off came true.
We've heard it for a while, haven't we? Like it's
Yeah,
again one of those. I think everybody's heard. I mean, I've seen some comments being like, "Oh, other podcasts have been talking about it." It's like, yeah, we just choose not to talk about things until we sort of know they're
yeah, exactly.
announced.
There's no point in speculating too much.
Oh, we like a bit of
Um,
speculation, but it's more out of respect for people to announce their own decisions and stuff. I think. Um,
exactly. I
Taylor Nib,
think
yeah,
what you got? We got Chelsea Sodaro, Lucy Charles-Barclay, Anna Haug, Daniela Ry, Taylor Knibb, Laura Phillip, Lisa Norton, Fenella Langridge, Sarah Crowley, Sky Munch, Laura Siddle, Kat Matthews, Sarah True. I mean, the names just keep going and going and going, and it's difficult to pin it down to who I think is going to win this race. Now, I think on recent form and recent results, a lot of people will be saying, "Oh, Taylor Knibb's got this,"
I don't think so.
but I don't think so either. I think this is going to be a very different beast, and it's her first Kona
First
and
Ironman.
first Ironman, and it's a pressure cooker.
Mm.
And not only is it the environmental conditions hard, but you know, your first Ironman race, your first full distance race, you're going in to figure out how your body responds to those conditions, how your body responds to those distances, and you've also got the pressure of it being the World Championship. So I don't see it.
I love that she's doing it. As a spectator, I love it. Like I'm so excited about this. Again, it's that uncertainty. It's this what's going to happen. Like we don't know. There's no precedent, right? She could absolutely rip the thing apart, ride 15 minutes off the front and fucking walk the run and still win the thing. It could happen. The purist or the I guess the more unemotional person wonders if this is a bad decision, considering that I think Taylor Knibb is legitimately the best shot at a gold medal is next year in Paris for her. And I wonder if and again, I don't know. And this all I'm doing is basing it on past results and what we've seen happen with Gustav and is this that step that you can't come back from as easily as maybe she thinks she can? I don't know
Could
enough
she be
about her
doing
training.
this just for experience, though? Could she be doing it just to go out, do the race? Not,
Bullshit.
who
They're not
knows?
age groupers, mate. They're pros.
No,
Look at
no.
her.
I don't mean for just, I want to do Kona.
I
I
know.
mean, I mean to go and experience
She's
it, to
going to
get it
race
under
it.
a belt.
She's going to
Yeah, I
race it
think
to
she
win, mate.
probably is.
She's going to race it to win because and why wouldn't she, right? She's so dominant at the middle distance, so logically. And I mean, I think once she goes long, look out, ladies. Like it's going to be a hard couple of years to try to win a world title off Taylor Knibb, especially on a course like Nice. And
Yeah, I remember. I remember back in that first Collins Cup, standing next to Tim Hemming. I'll never let him forget this when Knibb and Reef were lining up, and I said, "Oh, Knibb will take this, and she'll absolutely crucify Reef." And he went, "Not a chance, mate. Not a chance." Absolutely did her.
well, I can do another Tim Hemming prediction. I was standing next to Tim Hemming at the exit
We
of
should
T.
have a segment
Yeah,
standing next to Tim Hemming
standing Hemming
segment.
next standing next to Tim Hemming at T2 in Kona last year, and Danny Reef came out the front and said, "Well, she's got this in the bag. Write the check, boys. Daniela Reef won this race." And he messed me up. He's like, "You were wrong." I said, "Yes, I was very wrong." I think he's like, "Are you sure about that?" She's not looking. I was like, "Nah, mate, she'll run into it. She's in excellent form. Look at what she did in something." Yeah, yeah. Yeah, stand next to him. But no, like legitimately, I do wonder because let's take away the negative whether she shouldn't. If she does, mate, like we talk a lot about the versatility of an athlete like Christian Blumenfeld and how his attitude to the sport is so refreshing and we love it. And I feel like Taylor Knibb is very much the female version of Christian. She's the first female I've seen really take the same approach that Christian has. But again, it's like that thing I spoke with Sky a little bit about. There doesn't seem to be the same hype or the same excitement because, like,
Well, let me ask you this question then.
please,
I think the same. I think the issue is, and this is not, it's not correct that this is an issue, but imagine if she was doing it the other way around. She'd won the gold and then she was going to race Kona to see if she could win it. Everybody would be like, whoa, amazing. She's won a gold medal and now she's going back to Kona to see if she can win Kona. She's just doing it the other way around.
she's got a silver medal.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is she's just
I know
doing
what
it
you
the other
mean.
way around.
Yeah, and
So
if she does, like, again, let's get back to being optimistic podcast that we are. If she does, mate, like we talked about Sam Laidlow winning his first Ironman at Nice. Imagine Taylor wins her first Ironman world title at her first ever Ironman and then goes and wins a gold medal. God almighty.
yeah, it'd be
God
cool as
almighty.
fuck. It would be cool as fuck. She's a hell of an athlete and very focused on what she's doing, and I love to see it.
So good for the sport. She's so good for the
Yeah,
sport.
yeah, she really is. I don't know though. I mean, like we both said, we don't think she's going to do it in Kona. If she did, it would be remarkable.
We've
You know,
said no, so
it
she
would
probably will
bring,
now.
yeah, it would bring
It's
that
the kiss of death.
well.
It's the kiss of gold. Us saying, no, we don't think she'll do it. She'll do it now.
But this women's race is going to be magical. The
Yeah.
field is deep, and the way in which it can be won is so different
It's what you said.
across that field.
It's what you said about the short distance, right? Where you've got these different approaches to the sport and which one's going to pay off on the day. That's exactly what we're going to have in Kona, where you're going to have the Lucy Charleses and and the others leading the swim out, the Finellas, those guys. But then you're going to have the Annie Haugs or the Taylor Knibbs, maybe, or the Dannies. Like every athlete has this sort of slightly different approach. And I mean, if I was going to pick somebody at the moment based on form, my money's on Annie Haug. But then you go like this, it's so uncertain, mate. Danny was so good in Roth, but then she wasn't so good at 70.3 Worlds. Kat Matthews is good, but she's, we haven't really seen her race Kona, whether she's going to be good in the heat. Like there's so many possibilities, but there's some real run power
Chelsea
in this
Sodaro's
race.
coming back in.
And she finally hit a stride in. Again, how weird is it that we don't even, like, we're not even talking about it? Laura Phillip. Look, Chelsea, if Chelsea's form after like what I saw in Singapore, where we forget that she was the fastest runner on the course, including Anne Haug, and the way she raced that race last year like a master, could 100% do it. I just wonder, because it seems as though the pressure's been hard for her to deal with this year. And I just wonder if actually going to the Big Island as the defending champion, like I've seen Patrick Lang struggle with it. I just don't know. I would love it, but yeah, man, it's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, where do you think Chelsea Sodaro will sit?
I think she'll win it, or I think she'll podium. I think she's a podium. She'll either win it or she'll just run out of road or something like that. Like I think we could really see a proper run battle here. Like that's what excites me. Or yeah, I don't know, mate. I could see a real run battle between, say, Kat Matthews, Annie Haug, and Chelsea Sodaro. But then I could see Danny off the front. Danny and Lucy off the front, and Lucy's runs where it was sort of 2021, and she just runs away. Or Taylor Knibb, like I said, rides 20 minutes into everybody. I don't know. It's exciting that I don't know though. But we'll see, mate. I think you said you're going to probably do an episode, because it's in 2 weeks. You'll probably do a preview with Dave Tilbury Davis, like you did for the men's race. Is that what you were looking to do?
We'll do a segment or a part of an episode where we'll talk about the course and talk about from a coach's perspective, because he gave us a very detailed breakdown of Nice, and it was brilliant. But from his perspective, he's actually got athletes. He's got athletes in this race, so he's done a much more proactive approach. Are we at a place where we give picks yet? Because I've got a pick. I've got
go for it. Let's do it. Let's give it. It's 2 weeks out. Let's give a pick.
I think Laura Phillip's going to take it, mate.
Good, mate. Great shout. I think Anne Haug. So there we go.
Yeah, I mean, look, and I can't argue with that.
Yeah, I can't argue with yours either.
There's no part of me that wants to sit here and argue with that, because Anne Haug is fucking astounding. And her run is just unreal. And I love to watch her race. I just got a real feeling about Laura Phillip. She's had this sort of...
She got the bullshit penalty last year, which sort of derailed things. So
yeah, man. And I'd really love to see it. I think she's great. I think she's really great.
Another one that I worry is going to end up as a bridesmaid, not a bride. Like, I mean, Lucy is rapidly becoming that. I mean, the 70.3 world title is fantastic, but she's had what, 4 second places?
I've got a huge amount of respect for Lucy. I worry, and I would love her to prove me wrong, but I worry her time has passed to win this world championship.
But look, we said this a long time.
She's not that old.
No, but we said this years ago on the podcast. Like, I've said it a lot. Like, I've always worried that she is going to be that unlucky in that transition phase, right? Where she's been in Danny's shadow for so long. And then when Danny sort of starts to slip, that next generation, I mean, we said it would be Katie Zafiris, and those, it hasn't been, but it is almost happening. And I am concerned, because I still think that 2021, the 118 she ran in St. George, I thought she's cracked it. This is it. But since then, she's had a series of injuries. Like, she's been injured this, and I just wonder if is pushing to that point that she thinks she needs to be to win the race in Kona. Is it causing her body to break down? And I just don't know. So
I forgot we said it was going to be Katie Zafiris.
Remember, we always said she was a long distance athlete pretending to be a short course athlete really successfully. Yeah. But look, mate, let's save the Kona chat because it is coming. We've got plenty to talk about in the next couple of weeks, and we are done for this week. If people want to find out other things or support us or all that good stuff, James Bale, where do they need to
go? Basically, you need to wait for me to stop scrolling through this sheet. Thanks for listening to Talking Triathlon. If you want to support the show, jump on at patreon.com/Talking Triathlon. If you want to follow Tim, he's at tford14 on Insta, and I'm at bale.james85 on Instagram. Find us across all social networks at Talking Triathlon on Instagram, at Talk Triathlon on Twitter. If you sign up for the Patreon group, we will add you to the members areas on the Facebook page, plus the WhatsApp group. You'll get the monthly bonus episode, which is raw as fuck. And you get to input to that as well, because often before we do that monthly episode, we'll drop a message on the Facebook group, drop a message in the WhatsApp group saying, look, we've got this person on to talk about, or we're talking about this topic. What do you guys want to know about it? What questions should we ask? What topics should we cover? And you get direct access to that kind of editorial input. Lovely job.
I mean, a perfect example. I know that this bonus episode we're going to do is going to be all about what happened at Super League behind the scenes. Like it is good. One of the privileges of what we do is that we do have a lot of access, and that's the sort of stuff we talk about on the secret podcast. No snitches, guys, remember. But Jimbo,
yes,
a pleasure. We'll talk next week. I'll be in Australia. You'll be in France. Can't wait. Talk to you later.
Cheerio.